Welcome to a new episode of our podcast, Lead the Future, Change the Conversation. It's a raw, unedited, but honest conversation to create the future. I'm your host, Arjan Visser, and join me today. Please leave your comments when I chat with my friend Shane Pope on friendship. Oh, we could talk about that one. I meant leadership, future, and peers. Not going to polish this one. So Shane is a director of international businesses, ARMATEC, and more important for me, an emerging voice for leaders who want to integrate life into business to make it personal again. Shane, thank you. Thank you for joining in the podcast. Please feel comfortable and speak from your heart. So
Absolutely. It's my pleasure to be here.
it is. So to immediately drop the big statement, I already used the words in the introduction, but it was a couple of months ago that you mentioned, actually with quite some energy, or would nearly say you were angry that people tend to say, "Oh, don't take it personal." And you mentioned this phrase that still echoes in my ears, like, "But business is personal," or "Don't do it." In I would nearly say afterwards. So, what can you unpack that one? Business
Yeah,
is personal.
yeah, absolutely. It caught me by surprise too, Arjen, and the frustration of, because I don't think I could ever myself utter the words "Don't take it personally. It's only business." It, it seems foreign, or it doesn't seem to actually make any sense to me when I think about it. Business to me is personal. What is business other than an interaction, a relationship, an exchange of value between two people or two groups of people? It is people. It is fundamental to who we are as people, is business. So to say that don't take it personally, it's just business, that doesn't make any sense to me. And I think, and there's three aspects to it. And the first one is what we've been talking about, is interactions between people. That's the first and probably the most obvious layer, is me as colleagues, or a boss and someone working for them, or a customer.
Yeah.
There's that interaction between people, and to me that's the obvious first level of it.
Yeah. That probably has a huge impact on the workspace and the culture when people start to see that it's all about you and I in that
Yeah,
perspective.
yeah, yeah, yeah. When my interaction with you, I may, as a boss, I may have to fire somebody who's employed in my company. But I can't turn around and say to them, "Don't take it personally. It's only business," because I have a personal relationship with this person. We've been working together for who knows how long. I know it's going to impact them deeply personally. And so for me to sort of shut down and build a wall and distance myself from that person, and to say it's not personal, it's disingenuous. It's cowardly. I'll say that.
But if I'm honest, that phrase of "don't take it personally, it's just business" seems to be used so many times, but hearing you, it is rude, and they're actually not cheap words. They have words with huge impact, and they are not only finishing something, they are condemning the people as well in who they are, right?
It basically says I don't see you or value you as a person. You were you were a human resource in my company, serving my needs, and now you're no longer needed, and so I will dispose of this resource.
Yeah.
There's
Ouch.
just no humanity in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to the second level of it, interactions between people outside of our company as well. One business doing business with another business. If sometimes there can be some trickery involved, taking advantage of another company, and in the end, you sometimes hear people say that, oh, don't take it personally, it's only business. Well, I've just pulled the wool over your eyes and done some shady deal or cheated you out of whatever. And it's the same thing. It's me saying to you, look, I'm all about me and what's best for me, and I don't have any value for you or your life or your business at all.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That happens a lot. You know, we think we have an agreement, uh, or even I recently heard someone say, we say it's fair,
Mm,
but it's not, because it's serving the interests of one side, and the other side doesn't have the argument to go, well, actually to give feedback, and just have to settle with it. So
mm, mm.
that is actually happening a lot around us, with the
I think,
imbalance of power. And so how do you deal with that with your customers and your clients?
yeah, yeah. I think part of it as well is, and this leans into the third aspect, which we'll get to in just a second. But what I see is some people seem to take pride in their ability to deceive or get one over on another person, and take advantage of them in that way. It's almost like a sense of pride or accomplishment, or I'm clever enough, to be able to get my way and, excuse the language, screw you over. Which seems it's a strange way to think about myself, that this makes me clever and better because I can get one over on you. And so that, to me, it leads to the third aspect of it. And so we talked about people within companies, people outside of companies, but there's this internal relational dynamic as well. And so the only way I can see that it works is if me as a person and me as a business person are two different identities, two different personalities. That once I go to my place of work, I'm no longer a person. I'm a business person. I can do business. It's not personal. Don't take it personally. I'm just doing the business. But I've left my personal at home, and there's that separation, that schism, I think is really unhealthy.
I just, a thought that came up when you said that, about people that take pride from actually being harmful to others. That just sounds like a stereotype high school bully,
Yeah.
and but now we made it the art of business. We are proud of it, probably deliver a training in it.
Right.
But like you said, just that can only be that your business identity and your personal identity are not integrated. So how do you integrate those?
Well, I think you touched on it just now. I mean, you mentioned like a school bully, and I think this is what happens. We go through stuff in life, and we develop coping mechanisms or a personality or an identity, whatever, to cope with the stuff that comes our way that hurts us. And so we adopt these approaches to life to keep ourselves safe and secure. If I'm, take the school bully scenario, I could be on the bullying side, then I'm being a school bully for some reason to keep myself safe because of something that's happened. Or I could be on the other side, and I'm retreating, I'm hiding in the library or whatever to keep myself safe. There's always a story there, and so I think that to bring that integration between our personal life and our business life, to bring those back together again, we have to go back. We have to go back and understand our story and understand who have I become? How did I get to this place, this person, who I am now? I think it's crucial.
It's in a way that we have rationalized an excuse into being a valid reason for certain behavior.
Yeah.
And we all know that there is a moment with hindsight that we regret, that we didn't see didn't want to see or couldn't see, or at least we ignored it
Yeah.
by probably giving ourselves a rationale to validate an excuse. And my kids always accuse me that I say, oh, I hear an excuse and no excuse is valid. You know, it's an excuse for a reaction. It's not valid.
Mm. No, you're exactly right. And I think what you touched on there is one of the challenges is, we do rationalize, we do excuse these things to the point where it just feels natural, or this is normal, or this is who I am, or this is just the way things are. And then it gets to a point where we can't see it anymore. It's become so much a part of the way we operate. It becomes like a blind spot, and we can't actually see it for ourselves. So we find ourselves stuck in this pattern of business, stuck in this pattern of leadership or leading people that may be and likely is unhealthy in some ways, but we can't see it for ourselves,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you said blind spot. That always triggers me to think of a part of me that's hidden for
Mm.
myself, for others,
Mm.
or maybe even unknown for
Mm.
myself. So not just in a negative way, but I would just say in a neutral way.
Mm.
Um, it's always interesting to just explore our blind spot, our unknown self, and you just mentioned the how important it is to unlearn certain behavior, rationale, excuses, and coping mechanisms, the word used.
Yeah.
But the other side, how
Yes.
do you explore what you don't know yet of who you are becoming, who you are? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the flip side of the coin. You're exactly right. There are positive things about what we're talking about in the context of leadership. There are positive things in the way I lead, and there are negative things in the way I lead based on my story to this point. But going forward, looking forward, who have I become to this point? But who am I becoming next? I need to get clarity on that as well. Otherwise, how do I move on? How do I improve my leadership? How do I progress and grow if I don't know who I'm becoming, if I don't know which direction I'm traveling in? And I, for one, need help with that too, because I struggle to see the future at times. I struggle to get clarity on who I can become, who I am becoming, where I'm going. It's not easy.
No, definitely. The rest of life distracts,
Mm.
urgencies, maybe ego, maybe the past experiences,
Yeah.
the little bully in us. So, so how do you make sure you stay focused and you prioritize that in life?
I mean, I think one of the important things is surrounding yourself or finding a few people who you can engage in this conversation with, who, and like I've used the word story a few times. I see our lives as shaped like a story, and so we need to be able to tell our story. We need to be able to unpack who we've become, and try to figure out who we're becoming, and how to kind of wrap our heads around and our hearts around that. It's through people. I think it's through dialogue. It's through conversation. It's through a sharing of stories and exchanging of words and ideas, because it's really hard to do by yourself. Really hard to do, I think, by yourself.
Mm, I like that. I had an earlier conversation about life is not where do I belong. Life is not just output. It is in one stage of life, but then it becomes life is a process. Then you find
Mm.
out life is a journey. And actually, you
Mm.
introduce life as a story, and connecting that to your answer, finding out who you are becoming is part two of your story. And actually that leads you to probably the final chapter of your story. Do you end this story well? Yeah, so life is a story. I like that phrase. I'm going to use that a lot in my approach to stages of life. So that's a gemstone.
Oh, and I think that's why, for me, why stories resonate with us so much. Why we love a good book. Why we love a good movie. What? Just a short clip from a movie I was watching the other day. I think it was Good Will Hunting. Sitting watching this short clip. I mean, I haven't seen the movie in years, but within 30 seconds, I've got tears rolling down my face. I'm sitting in an airplane. I've got tears rolling. I'm sure the people around me thought I was weird, but it's just this it's story. We know this kid's story, and we know that the place is very stuck, and that meeting of hearts in that place. That's the stuff that life is about,
Yeah.
And it only makes sense in the context of story. If I didn't know this guy's story, then that would mean nothing to me. But because I sort of knew who he was, where he'd come from, and what he's about, yeah, it makes a big impact.
So were you flying coach?
I was right in the very back row.
Yeah. So probably all those people agreed with you. All right.
I'm sad to be all the way back in row number 32. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So,
that's fine.
So surrounding yourself with people and peers, people that have no stake, and you and I are part of a mastermind, a peer mastermind, and for those listening, you are invited to sit in. Just use the link that is shown in the screen, and for those who watch or listen the podcast afterwards, it's businessrevivalists.com/guest. Just sign up for a session and sit in and experience what it means to have peers that give you brutal feedback on your journey to keep you on track, and like you said, unlearn certain things, process life, but also stretch to who can I become and what's my emerging authority. What's the biggest gemstone? Sorry for using the word again. I should have prepared it better. What's the highlight of being on a weekly basis in a peer group?
I think it keeps this idea of self-leadership and this question, who am I becoming? It keeps it front of mind. I mean, I think for me, and probably for people listening, I can get really busy dealing with the day-to-day in business, family, home, just getting stuff ticked off the to-do list, responding to the emails, getting stuff to clients, whatever it is that is the daily needs and demands in my business. Yeah. And there aren't many people in my life that are actually asking me the question, okay, Shane, you're doing all this stuff, right, and running this, that's fine, but where are you going, mate? Like, who are you becoming? What do you envision? Where do you see yourself going? I have very few people in my life that ask those sorts of questions, that have that personal, interest in my personal story, my journey, where life is going for me, where I see myself going, and supporting me in taking steps towards that. Because everybody else is just getting on with business too, So yeah. I think for me that's the real value, is having people there who have no other agenda, that they have no connection or association with my business or doing business together or anything like that. It's just we're friends, we're peers, who are all interested in this journey of life and who we're becoming, and we can engage with one another, share our stories, and encourage and call each other out into this emerging future.
Yeah,
it's powerful.
That's good. Wow. I can't use that or stand that line anymore. Don't take it personal. It's just business. So I think everyone who've listened to is speak up. It's inappropriate behavior if someone uses that line.
Yeah.
Someone needs to grow up and see that.
Go and examine your story and find out why you're
exactly
being the bully. Yeah.
It's a huge trigger for personal development if you hear yourself say it find out why, what you need to unlearn. Shane, I loved it. Let's do another podcast soon, and
Be great.
And looking forward to see you next Friday in our mastermind. And for those who want to join the mastermind, there's an invitation to find your voice, find out your future identity. But first, just explore, discover such a group dynamic. So businessrevivalists.com//guest and just pick a Friday to join and sit in. So Shane, thank you. We close
Thank
it
you.
just before the 20 minutes. We nearly made
Look
it
at
to 20. We're doing better. So take care, my friend.
You too. We'll speak soon.